Hello everyone, welcome to session 6 of LTEC 623 Digital Video Design. This week we're going to do three things. First, we're going to celebrate the accomplishment of creating our own do-it-yourself video studios. Then we're going to introduce our first video assignment, and then we're going to preview this week's pre-production tasks. So let's get started. I want to begin by just saying bravo and congratulations to all of you. I'm really impressed and inspired by the amount of effort that you've all put into building your own do-it-yourself studios. It's really exciting to see the great work that you've come up with. You should all be very proud. This is really setting us up wonderfully for the rest of the semester. So thank you for all the hard work. I know that was a big task and I'm really appreciative of what you've done. Now I want to let you know that I've also built a do-it-yourself studio. So let me walk you through what I've done here in my office. So my office floor plan looks something like this. It's an 8x12 room, and it has a door off to in one corner, and then there's two tall, long windows, window 1 and window 2. Now, I share this office with another person who's on sabbatical this semester. But you can see here, this was the furniture that was already in the office when I moved in. So there were 3 bookshelves, a desk, and a TV cart and a filing cabinet. And then when I moved in, we added another desk and then a small table. So this is the space that I had to work with. It's kind of long and narrow. So after a little bit of thinking and playing around, I realized that this space right here, this 4x5 space, is really what I could use in order to create a do-it-yourself video studio. Knowing that the dimensions were 4x5, I started by sketching out a little bit of what I thought I could build and how I wanted it to be shaped. And I got inspired to build something using PVC pipe. So I went to the hardware store and I bought some 1/2-inch PVC pipe. So here is kind of the do-it-yourself scaffold. This was just a proof of concept. And then I wanted to take advantage of the high ceiling. I think the ceilings in here are about 8 feet. So what you're seeing here in this picture is the 7-foot scaffold. I hung up some black fabric and I hung up some utility lights. But as you can see in the background here, the window in the back is, I'm getting the light from the windows bleeding through. So I had to go back to the drawing board, and here's another shot just from a different angle. You can really see the light is coming through the black fabric. So I added a heavy blanket to try to block some of that light. Then I put the black curtain back up, and you can still see I'm getting a little bit more light bleeding through just to the right of the chair. Then I decided to build a do-it-yourself softbox. So I taped together some cardboard and cut out a circle. I lined it with aluminum foil, inserted the utility light. I then used a shower curtain, and you can see here, this is just a cheap $3 shower curtain that was labeled Frosty. And I hung up the softbox and then the other lamps. There's the softbox in action. And I used that shower curtain material on top of the utility lights, and I set up my camera. So what did I get for effects? So sorry, the focus is a little soft on these examples, but here you can see, here's my key light on. I've got a pretty heavy shadow on my face, and you can see a little bit of shadow on the backdrop itself. And here you can see I've got the headlight on and the fill light, and it really eliminates those shadows pretty well. I would argue the headlight is a little too strong and a little bit too on the front of my head. And so I actually softened it up here a little bit. I have it on a dimmer switch. So I pulled it back a little bit, and that's pretty good. I'm going to play around a little bit more. I've got more work to do. I haven't done any white balancing or anything, but essentially this is where I am with my do-it-yourself studio. Okay, so now I want to talk about our first video assignment. Now, I talked about last week in this course, with the remaining weeks of the semester, we're going to create 4 video productions. And we're going to do that using 3-week cycles. So I want to focus on just round 1 of the 3-week cycle, which we're beginning this week with session 6. So let's break apart that process. Most of you know the production process involves three major stages. The first stage, which we're going to experience this week, is pre-production. And that really involves it's the planning process and execution of every task that has to take place before we actually begin producing or filming our video. Normally that involves budgeting and hiring people, but because we're really working mostly individually, really for us that's simply going to involve scripting and storyboarding. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Following week, we will focus on production. In other words, filming. And this refers to capturing the video footage specified in our script and storyboards. And of course, this is going to involve the lighting and the framing and work on composition. And essentially, it's going to be all about recording our raw footage. And then after the second week, or our production week, we are going to go into post-production, which is essentially all about editing and sharing. Formally, post-production refers to all of the tasks that must be completed after filming ends. It includes editing the raw footage into scenes, inserting transitions, and adding titles. For our purposes, we're going to focus on editing, finalizing our video, and then sharing and reviewing those videos with our classmates. So that's our 3-week cycle broken apart. Now, if you recall from last week, I introduced 3 categories of production style. Category 1 were the chalk and talk videos. Category 2 is the talking head videos. And Category 3 involves videos involving 2 or more people, or conversational videos. For our first video production, I'm going to ask that everyone focus on an in-studio talking head video. So that's the production style that you need to be focusing on. Now keep in mind that there are independent dimensions of video. We talked about production style, visual aesthetics, and production value. Now I've assigned you the production style. You need to create for video 1 a talking head video. However, the visual aesthetics, how things look, the pacing, the balance, the sense of proportion, and the novelty you use, that's entirely up to you as the creative directors of your video. And then, of course, also the production value is completely under your control. The quality of the video, the quality of the lighting and the sound, all of that is completely up to you based on what you've learned so far and your do-it-yourself studio. So let's talk a little bit about some of the parameters of video 1. Now, the goal of video 1 of this assignment is to produce an original, high-quality educational video. Our purpose is to practice being on camera, practice filming a video, and practice presenting information in a concise and compelling manner. The length of our videos, I'm going to leave that up to you, but I'd like you to shoot for recording something that's under 3 minutes. Now, that means your video will be under 3 minutes when it has titles and credit scenes and all of those extra things that we have to add in. So as you're planning this, keep that in mind. We're trying to keep it fairly short. And then the topic. What is the topic of your video? Well, that's up to you. The only requirement is that you be the authority on something. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be an event, it can be a story, it can be a lesson, anything that you want to talk about. And it doesn't matter. You can be a teacher, you can be a mom, you can be an expert, you can be anything you want in this role. But try to make it authentic and genuine and be the authority on something that you care about or is of interest to you. So let's talk a little bit about the tasks that I'd like you to complete this week. So the first 2 tasks, simply you need to choose your topic and you need to write a draft script, keeping in mind that what you're going to record needs to be less than 3 minutes. From there, I'm going to ask you to storyboard your video. Now, what do I mean by storyboard? Storyboarding is really just a graphic organizer in the form of rough illustrations or images displayed in a sequence. Essentially, I'm trying to get you to pre-visualize your talking head video. So in other words, you need to be asking yourself, where are you going to stand? What kind of camera shot are you going to use? Now this is a good time to talk about the rule of thirds. This is a screenshot of a video where the screen has been divided into a 3x3 grid. And you can see the gentleman in the video, he is right on the intersection of two of those lines. That's a very common way of positioning the talent in a talking head video. One of the benefits of this particular model is that you can include additional information, whether it be text or call-outs or pictures of something that you're talking about as the authority/expert. Now, I also want to remind you that in your talking head video, it's okay if you want to handle a prop. It's okay if you are planning to insert on-screen text. And if you think you need to transition to B-roll or some other footage in order to make your video compelling, it's okay to do that. That's really up to you as the creative directors of your video. After you get all of that together, you're going to share your plans with a classmate. And I've assigned each of you, and you'll see this in Canvas, I've assigned each of you a partner. And this partner is really going to act as a critical friend. You're going to share your scripts and storyboards with each other just to help think things through, to get a little bit of feedback. From there, you're going to revise your script and your storyboard, and then from there, I hope you'll start rehearsing for production, which will begin in session 7. Okay, folks, that's all for today. I'm really excited to kick off actually producing our videos. Again, congratulations on your do-it-yourself studios. They're fantastic. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you in Canvas.